This is Russian chess grandmaster Yan Nepomniachtchi. He's pretty happy right now because he has an absolutely crushing position against his opponent in the World Blitz Chess Championship. The only problem is that his opponent, Indian grandmaster Hare Krishna, is about to do something that makes Nepo's anger burn with a force of 1,000 suns. I'm David from Bronze Serpent Chess, and this is Blitz Breakdown. So you can see from the position that Nepo is putting a lot of pressure along the d-file, threatening to checkmate his opponent on d8. The situation is so dire that Hare Krishna sacrifices his bishop to try and close off the d-file. And after lifting the rook to try and pick off Nepo's dark squared bishop, we have the big moment of controversy. We'll see the full extent of Nepo's rage a little later, but first, what's going on here? Now, I know it may not seem like much. Hare Krishna knocked over one of Nepo's pieces, put it back, not a big deal, right? Well, there is a bit of a problem. The rules clearly state that if you knock over a piece, you need to put it back on your time, meaning you can't hit the clock and then replace the piece. Which, if we take another look at the clip, is exactly what Hare does. Now, anyone with half a brain cell will be able to see this was clearly an accident, not intentional at all. In fact, I can prove scientifically that it was an accident. Given that my audience are mostly chess players, I'm going to full on nerd out on the explanation for this. I slowed down the frame rate to find out the amount of time that had passed between the bishop falling over and him hitting the clock, and worked out around 1/4 of a second, or a shade over 250 milliseconds. The average human reaction is around 273 milliseconds, meaning that Hare just physically didn't have enough time to be able to realize the mistake that he had made. Apart from this, Hare's a really well-respected grandmaster in the chess community. Anyone who knows him would know that he would never do something like this intentionally, even if he could. So what is Nepo actually supposed to do considering this rule violation? Well, he has one of two decisions. The first decision he could make is to simply do nothing and let the game continue. This option is often chosen when there's like a crazy time scramble and both players are adjusting pieces on each other's time, like in this mad example.
Oh, no, dirty! It's so dirty! Why
Yeah,
are you
she
playing
does
so
play
dirty?
very, very dirty, but much more time for black now. I mean,
Oh my god,
some
so
seconds,
dirty.
some extra second.
Yeah,
Okay, 6 was blundered. Come on.
Look, so many
Right,
pieces
she just
falling.
blundered the rook.
No, but so many pieces are falling. No, that's not possible.
No,
you
I
cannot.
think this is just completely.
Yeah, but that pre-move. No, but what is that? That is not chess. That is not chess.
So you can hear in the commentary that they're describing the play as super dirty, specifically the idea that they're moving and adjusting pieces on each other's time. It becomes a little bit of a free-for-all, and here stopping the game, for example, calling the Arbiter, would just not make sense at all. There's no time left, it's a crazy time scramble. So that brings us to the second option, which is not to carry on playing, but to call the Arbiter and stop the clock, which is exactly what happened between this Iranian grandmaster and his much younger opponent.
One moment. Because you adjust the move in my time. Because you bring your hand into the game in my time.
So in this example, the Iranian player calls over the Arbiter and explains the situation to him. But really, the Arbiter can only do so much. It's not like an enormous rule violation. It's something relatively minor. And in fact, the actual rules don't give specific instructions on how you should deal with it. It just says the Arbiter may penalize the player who displaced the pieces. So what does that penalty look like, for example? Well, I think it's possible that the Arbiter could make some adjustments to the clock so that the afflicted player gets a little bit more time or deducts time from the other player, but it really does depend a lot on the situation. Ultimately, this game ended in a draw. Even after the Arbiter was called, there weren't any penalties. It was basically an equal end game, and I think the Arbiter just encouraged them to put the drama aside and take the draw. So back to our game between Nepo and Hare Krishna. Now, in this game, Nepo decided not to call the Arbiter. And that's okay, but here's the deal. If you don't call the Arbiter, you now forfeit the right to complain about anything that happens the rest of the game. You had the opportunity to call the Arbiter, but you didn't. And oh, how Nepo wished that he would have called the Arbiter, because this game took a very sharp turn. After being in the driver's seat the whole game, Nepo missed multiple chances to seal the deal, and somehow, out of nowhere, Hare Krishna turned it around and got draw by threefold repetition.
More dirty next time. What? You should play more dirty next time, no?
I didn't play dirty, it's flip.
No?
Yeah.
One more. You sleep like 5 times in a row.
What?
He slipped 5 times in a row.
So now that the game's over, I think that Nepo is being completely unreasonable here. Poor Hare, it was a mistake. He didn't mean to disrupt the game and knock over Nepo's piece. It happened, and it certainly didn't happen 5 times like Nepo's claiming. He's just upset because of the fact that he was in a winning position and now he only gets a draw. I'm not saying this because I dislike Nepo. I'm actually a huge Nepo fan. I was supporting him in the World Championship. But in this particular game, he was completely out of line. And really, this is the kind of thing that you would expect. Hopefully, a few days later, you give the guy a call and you say, listen, I'm sorry, I overreacted a little bit there. It was clearly a mistake. But in this instance, I think it is an instructive moment for people who are playing over the board. If something like this does happen, there's nothing wrong with just stopping the clock and calling the arbiter if you're not sure. No one's going to judge you, and if they do, then they clearly don't understand the rules. So really important just to be aware of that when you're playing over the board. Guys, that is a wrap for today's video. If you liked this video, do consider smashing the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.